I sat in my car, watching the two people embracing in the grind shop across the street through the windshield. The man gently wiped cream from the corner of the woman's mouth, and she shyly lowered her head. Their interaction was so intimate it was sickening. The man was my husband, Leo, and the woman was Mary, a colleague from Sterling Agency. My phone vibrated. It was a text message from Leo. "Sweetheart, I'll be working late tonight, so I might not be home until very late. Get some rest." I scoffed and replied, "All right, take care." Putting my phone down, I continued to watch that shameless pair in the grind shop. Leo was saying something to Mary, who suddenly jumped up excitedly and hugged him tightly. 3 months ago, I accidentally discovered their affair. That day, I came home early from work because I was sick, only to find them intimate in our bed. Standing at the doorway, I nearly fainted from anger, but I forced myself to calm down and quietly left. From that day on, I began to observe them secretly. I realized this wasn't a fleeting affair but a long-standing betrayal. What made me even angrier was how Leo managed to put on a perfect act in front of me, coming home every day and saying nauseating words like, "You've worked so hard, my dear wife, and I love you." What was even more outrageous was hearing Mary bragging to other colleagues at Sterling Agency, saying, "Leo told me he's going to divorce that washed-up wife, and then we can be together openly." My name is Mary, and I'm 28 years old. I've worked at this advertising company for 5 years, and my performance has always been good. While I might not be a stunning beauty, I'm certainly pretty and pleasant. After 3 years of marriage to Leo, I always believed we were a loving couple. I never imagined that in his eyes, I was just a washed-up wife. In daily coffee, Mary suddenly waved something excitedly. It looked like a document. Leo patted her hand, and they exchanged smiles. I had an ominous feeling. Just then, Leo stood up and started walking out of the grind shop. I quickly started my car and left before he could see me. Back home, I sat on the sofa, waiting for him. Leo didn't return until 11 o'clock that night, a lingering smile still on his face. "Sweetheart, you're still awake?" He walked over, naturally kissed my forehead, and said, "I'm going to take a shower." "Long day at work?" I asked, testing the waters. "Not bad, just a project causing some headaches," he said, taking off his jacket. His demeanor was so natural it made me wonder if I had imagined everything. When he went to shower, he forgot to take his phone with him. I quickly scrolled through it and, sure enough, found his text message history with Mary. The latest message instantly clarified what they had been discussing at the grind shop that evening. "Mary, Leo, are you sure this settlement agreement is foolproof? What if she refuses to sign it?" "Leo, don't worry, I have ways to make her sign it without a fuss. Then the house, the car, and all her savings will be ours." "Mary, you're so wicked, but I like it. Once we get all that, we can go overseas." "Leo, just wait, in half a month at most, I'll take everything that foolish woman owns." My hands trembled, almost dropping my phone. This wasn't just about an affair, they wanted all my assets. I owned my small condo before marriage, and after we got married, Leo and I bought this house together. I paid for the car in full, and I also had nearly $1 million in savings. If we really divorced, by law, I should at least get half of our assets. Just then, I heard the water turn off in the bathroom. I quickly put the phone back where I found it and pretended to watch TV. When came out, he gently sat next to me and said, "Sweetheart, get some rest. You have to work tomorrow." "Okay," I nodded. Lying in bed, Leo quickly fell asleep. I listened to his even breathing, my mind a chaotic mess. No, I couldn't just sit back and do not. Hing. The next day at work, I carefully observed Mary. This woman usually loved to dress up flashily, but today she was wearing a tight red dress and elaborate makeup. When she saw me, she greeted me cheerfully, "Good morning, Mary." I smiled back, "Good morning, Mary. You look really pretty today." "Thanks, Mary," she giggled shyly. "Oh, your husband really adores you. He was just telling us yesterday that he's going to buy you a designer handbag as a gift." I scoffed internally, but still pretended to be surprised. "Oh really? He didn't mention it to me. Men always love to surprise their wives, don't they?" Mary winked. "Mary, you're so lucky." At lunch, I deliberately sat next to Mary. "Mary, where's your boyfriend? When are you going to introduce him to us?" I asked, feigning concern. Mary's face flushed. "Haven't found the right one yet, no rush." I picked up my glass of water and said with a smile, "Well, you really need to choose carefully. Don't let those playboy types fool you. Some men might seem good to you on the surface, but they might actually have a wife at home." Mary's expression subtly shifted, but she quickly composed herself. Mary is right, men these days really can't be trusted. Her reaction only solidified my suspicions. That afternoon, I made an excuse to run an errand, but I was actually going to meet my lawyer friend, Emily. I explained the situation to her, and she frowned after listening. Mary, if they are truly plotting against you, you must be careful, Emily said. But do you have any concrete evidence? For now, I only have some screenshots of their text messages and discreetly taken photos, I said, showing her my phone. That's not enough, you need more evidence, she said after reviewing them carefully. I suggest you don't tip them off yet. Collect more evidence discreetly. Also, protect your assets by transferring anything important to a secure location. I listened to her advice carefully and agreed to all of it. After leave. ING Davis Associates firm, a thought suddenly struck me. If wanted to scheme against me, I would play along and see exactly what they planned to do. That evening, when I got home, Leo was already busy in the kitchen. Seeing me, he smiled gently. Sweetheart, you've worked hard today. I made your favorite homemade lasagna. Thanks, honey, I said, also pretending to be very happy. You're so good to me. Of course, you're the one I love most, he said, walking over to hug me and whispering in my ear. Hearing him say that, my stomach turned. During dinner, Leo suddenly brought up, Sweetheart, Sterling Agency has a project that requires me to travel for a week, possibly out of town. When? I asked. I have to leave next Monday, he said, looking a bit sheepish. I wanted to spend time with you, but this project is really important for my promotion. Promotion? I bet it's to discuss your elopement plans. It's all right, work is important, I said understandingly. Really? A flicker of surprise crossed Leo's eyes, quickly replaced by a look of concern. Will you be scared staying home alone? No, I'll be fine. Besides, a week will fly by, I said calmly. All right then, when I get back, I'll take you on a trip to make it up to you, Leo said, kissing me. The next day, I took a sick day from work and then went to First Bank to transfer all my savings to another account. It was an account I'd opened before marriage, and Leo knew nothing about it. Next, I went to Citywide, using the excuse that I wanted to rent out my premarital condo, and reprocessed all the necessary paperwork to ensure its ownership was fully under my name. After all that, I went to see Emily again. I told her about Leo's upcoming business trip. Emily's expression grew more serious upon hearing this, and she warned me that this was an even more critical time to be vigilant. She advised me to hire a private investigator, Miller, to professionally collect comprehensive evidence. At the same time, He cautioned me to be wary of any traps they might set, such as deliberately exposing their relationship to provoke me into an emotional outburst, leading me to act against my own interests, or framing me for infidelity, intending to put me at a disadvantage during the divorce. I calmly assured her I would be extra careful. Following her recommendation, I found a private investigator, Miller. He was a man in his 40s, exuding a sense of calm professionalism in his demeanor. Ms. Chen, Miller said, based on your description, I believe your husband and that woman have been planning this for a long time. We'll need to monitor them comprehensively and gather all the evidence. As for the fees, to me now, the cost was secondary. If it meant protecting my assets and my dignity, it would be money well spent. I stated. We finalized our cooperation then and there. In the following days, I went about my routine as usual, working and returning home. But in secret, I was constantly observing Leo and Mary's movements. Miller was highly efficient. By the third day, he sent me several photos and recordings. The photos showed Leo and Mary coming and going from the hotel, acting intimately. The recordings infuriated me even more. They were discussing the specific details of their plan. Leo, what if that foolish woman refuses to sign the divorce agreement? Mary's voice came through. I've already arranged everything. When she discovers our relationship, she'll act impulsively and definitely hit you, Leo chuckled disdainfully. Then I'll call the police and report her for assault. With that charge, she'll be at a disadvantage during the divorce. You're so clever, Mary giggled. But what if she doesn't hit me? Then it's even simpler. I'll just accuse her of infidelity, find a man to take some intimate photos with her, and then who will believe she's innocent? Hearing this, my hands trembled. That scumbag, he actually planned to use such despicable methods to frame me. Miller also sent more text messages. Leo had already contacted a male model, intending to have this man approach me at the right time and then take intimate photos of us. Additionally, they had already bought plane tickets, planning to leave China and live overseas as soon as their scheme succeeded. I picked up my phone and sent a text message to Emily. The evidence is almost all collected, we can start. On night, Leo was packing his suitcase. I helped him organize his clothes, pretending to be reluctant to see him go. Honey, make sure you call me every day. Of course, he said, kissing my forehead. Take good care of yourself at home, I'll be back soon. That night, Leo slept soundly, holding me. But I didn't sleep a wink, my mind buzzing with the plan set to begin tomorrow. Oh, Leo, you'd never dream that your so-called perfect plan was already completely under my control. On morning, Leo left, dragging his suitcase. Before he went, he gave me a long, lingering hug, with even a hint of tears in his eyes. I watched him leave from the doorway, a cold smile playing on my lips. As soon as Leo left, I received a text message from Miller. He didn't go to the airport, he went to a hotel downtown. Mary is already there waiting for him. I changed into a different outfit and drove to the hotel. Miller was already waiting in the lobby. Seeing me arrive, he stepped forward. Ms. Chen, they're in room 1208, he whispered, handing me a covert camera. This is a high-definition camera. All actions today will be recorded. I took the device, nodded my understanding, and confirmed everything was ready. Following the predetermined plan, I first checked in at the front desk, specifically requesting room 1209, right next to theirs. Afterward, I sent Leo a text message, feigning concern and asking if he was already on the plane. Soon, I received his reply, claiming the plane had just taken off, the signal was poor, and he might be unreachable, not forgetting to add I love you. At the end, around noon, I made a point to visit Sterling Agency, pretending to be concerned about Mary. I was told she had called in sick. I asked a colleague, who informed me that Mary seemed to have a fever and had called that morning to request a few days off. In the afternoon, following Miller's arrangements, I went to the grind shop downstairs at the hotel to wait. Everything was set, I just needed them to walk into the trap. Around 4 o'clock, my phone rang. It was an unfamiliar male voice. May I speak with Ms. Mary? Yes, who is this? I'm the hotel manager. Your husband, Mr. Leo, had a slight accident at our hotel and is now at the hospital. Could you please come over? In that moment, I understood completely, this was the first trap Leo had set. They clearly wanted to lure me to the hotel, where I would accidentally discover their affair, then Mary would feign distress, provoke me into an emotional outburst, make me hit her, and then they could call the police and accuse me of assault. What kind of accident? Is it serious? I asked, feigning urgency. It's not very serious, just a fall in the room. But he kept asking for you, so we called. Okay, I'm on my way. I hung up and sent a text message to Miller. The fish has taken the bait. Arriving at the hotel, the supposed manager, Kyle, was waiting for me in the lobby. He was a man in his 30s, quite handsome, and likely the male model Leo had hired. Ms. Chen, your husband is in room 1208, Kyle said, guiding me toward the elevator. On the 12th floor, Kyle took out a key card and unlocked room 1208. Your husband is inside, he said, gesturing for me to enter. I took a deep breath and pushed the door open. Inside the room, Leo was sitting on the edge of the bed. When he saw me enter, a flicker of panic crossed his face, but it was quickly replaced by a deliberately feigned surprise. Sweetheart, what are you doing here? He asked, pretending to be astonished. The hotel manager said you were hurt. I was so worried, I said, walking quickly towards him. What exactly happened? Just then, the bathroom door suddenly opened, and Mary emerged, wearing a bathrobe. When she saw me, she first froze, then let out a feigned shriek of alarm. Mary, what are you doing here? I scoffed internally, but on my face, I feigned shock and stood there dumbfounded. Mary? What are you doing here? Aren't you sick? Mary stammered, unable to form a complete sentence in response to my questions. Leo stood up at this point, a look of remorse on his face. Sweetheart, I'm sorry, I can explain. You were behind my back, having an affair in a hotel room, and you still think you can explain? I suddenly demanded loudly. According to their script, I should be losing control and hitting Mary right now, but I wouldn't give them that satisfaction. Sweetheart, calm down. Leo tried to come over and hug me, but I pushed him away. I pulled out my phone, held it up in front of them, and said with a touch of defiance, I'm calling William and Margaret right now. Let them see this shameless pair. Just then, Kyle, the fake manager, suddenly burst in from outside and grabbed me in a tight embrace. Hey, beautiful, don't get so worked up, he whispered in my ear. This was Leo's second trap. If I didn't hit Mary, they planned to have this man take some intimate photos with me, then accuse me of infidelity. But, you calculated every detail, except for one thing. I already knew your entire plan. Let go of me. I struggled with all my might, simultaneously yelling toward the door, help. Someone's assaulting me. Just then, Miller and 2 plainclothes police officers, who had been waiting outside the door, burst in. Police! Nobody move. Seeing the police, all 4 people in the room froze. Leo and Mary's faces instantly turned pale, and Kyle, the fake manager, was so terrified he simply collapsed onto the floor. Officer, thank goodness! I exclaimed excitedly. They were trying tea. Oh, harm me, you arrived just in time. Ms. Chen, are you all right? The officer asked with concern. I'm fine, thankfully you arrived when you did, I said, pointing at Leo and the others. These 3 conspired to frame me. If you hadn't come, I would have been ruined. Leo reacted at this point, quickly trying to explain. Officer, you've got it all wrong. We weren't trying to harm her. I'm her husband, we were just handling a domestic dispute. A domestic dispute? The officer scoffed. And your domestic dispute required hiring a male model to help you stage a scene? Hearing the words male model, Leo's face turned completely white. He realized his plan had been fully exposed. Miller walked over at this moment, holding a recording device. Officer, here's all the audio evidence of their premeditated scheme to frame Ms. Chen. At the police precinct, Leo, Mary, and the male model were taken to separate rooms for questioning. As the victim, I waited in the lounge for the results. Miller handed over all the collected evidence to the police, including recordings, photos, screenshots of their text messages, and evidence of their purchased plane tickets for their planned escape. Ms. Chen, according to our investigation, your husband and his accomplices are indeed suspected of fraud and malicious framing, the investigating officer told me. Especially the male model. He admitted to taking money from your husband to help them frame you for infidelity. What kind of punishment will they face? I asked calmly. Depending on the severity of the offense, they could face a prison sentence of 3 to 7 years, the officer replied. I scoffed internally, feeling that this punishment was far too lenient for them. By the time I finished my statement and left the police precinct, it was already 8 o'clock in the evening. Miller was waiting for me at the entrance. He stepped forward to congratulate me, his words hinting at the complete success of our operation. I barely thanked him, and he merely smiled faintly, humbly stating it was simply his professional duty. Back home, I sat on the sofa, lost in thought. A 3-year marriage officially ended today. Even though I had won in the end, I still felt a sense of emptiness. Just then, my phone rang. It was Margaret, my mother. Mary, why are you still awake so late? Margaret asked with concern. I hesitated for a moment, then decided to tell her what had happened today. After hearing my account, Margaret remained silent on the phone for a long time. I always had a bad feeling about that Leo from the start, Margaret sighed. I told William when you got married that his smile seemed too fake. I never thought I'd actually be right. But the fact that you can protect yourself now shows how much you've grown. Margaret's tone softened. William and I will come see you tomorrow and help you with the aftermath. Okay, thanks, Margaret, I replied. After hanging up, I suddenly felt a lot lighter. The next day, I took a day off to rest at home. Around noon, Emily came to visit me. Mary, how are you feeling now? She asked with concern. I'm alright, just a bit tired, I said, pouring her a cup of tea. What should I do next? First, handle the divorce proceedings. Then you can consider suing them for fraud and malicious framing, Emily said. Based on the current evidence, you're very likely to receive substantial compensation. I don't want his compensation, I just want him to leave me alone. You're too kind, Emily shook her head. They nearly left you with nothing, and you still don't want to pursue it. It's fine. I just want to end all of this as quickly as possible and start a new life, I said calmly. A month later, all legal procedures were finalized. Leo was sentenced to a prison sentence of 3 years for fraud and malicious framing, while Mary and the male model received 2 years and 1 year, respectively. The divorce proceedings also went smoothly. According to the court's judgment, Leo would not receive any of my assets and was ordered to pay me $100,000 in compensation for emotional distress. However, I waived that amount, only requesting that he never bother me again. At advertising agency, my colleagues became even more supportive after the Mary incident. Mr. Thompson, my department manager, even sought me out for a talk, assuring me the company would fully support me. Mary, you've been through a lot recently, Mr. Thompson said to me with concern. If you need to adjust your work or take some time off, just let me know. Thank you, Mr. Thompson. I'm doing all right and can continue working, I replied. That's good, Mr. Thompson nodded, then changed the subject. By the way, there's an open position for a project manager at corporate headquarters, and I think you'd be a great fit. Would you consider it? This was the position I had always wanted, and I never expected to get the opportunity now. I'm very interested, but I'm concerned that this incident might negatively impact the company's image. Mr. Thompson saw my apprehension and waved his hand. You're the victim. How could Sterling Agency discriminate against you for this? On the contrary, your ability to protect yourself shows wisdom and courage, and that's exactly the kind of talent we need. Hearing Thompson say that, a warmth spread through my heart. It seemed many people still supported me. All right then, I accept the position, I replied firmly. Wonderful. You can report to corporate headquarters next Monday. A new job, a new environment, perhaps it really could help me start a new life. Back home, I packed up my belongings and threw away everything related to Leo. Photos, gifts, even my marriage certificate, I wanted none of it. I wanted to completely say goodbye to the past and embrace a brand new life. I reported to corporate headquarters. My new office was large and bright, and my colleagues were all very friendly. The new job was busier than before, but I felt fulfilled. Being occupied with various projects daily, I had no time to dwell on unpleasant memories. Before long, the first project I oversaw received high praise from the client, bringing significant revenue to Sterling Agency. Mary, excellent work, Mr. Vance said, patting my shoulder. Keep it up, there's another surprise waiting for you at the end of the year. A surprise? I looked at him curiously. It's a secret, Mr. Vance smiled mysteriously. That evening, I stood on my balcony, gazing at the city lights, feeling a peace I hadn't known before. Although I had experienced betrayal and deception, I hadn't been defeated. On the contrary, I had become even stronger. The storm had passed, and sunlight had finally streamed into my life. 3 months later, my work was going smoother than ever. Not only had I successfully completed several important projects, but I had also received unanimous praise from clients and Sterling Agency's leadership. What surprised me even more was that I actually met a wonderful man through work. His name was Ethan, the project director at one of our partner companies. He was 32, divorced, and had a 7-year-old daughter. We first met at a project negotiation meeting, and he left a great impression on me, professional, polite, and composed. Unlike insincere tenderness, Ethan exuded a sense of reliability. He wasn't one for sweet words, but he was incredibly dependable in his actions. In the meeting, he directly pointed out an issue in my proposal. The budget calculation here is incorrect and could impact later execution. While it was a bit embarrassing to have an error pointed out, I was very grateful for his reminder. If we'd only discovered the problem during the execution phase, the losses would have been much greater. Thank you for the heads up, Ethan. I'll revise it immediately, I quickly said. You're welcome, we're partners, and we should help each other. His smile was genuine. By the way, if you need any assistance, feel free to reach out to me anytime. It was that sentence that made me develop a liking for him. During the project, we often needed to communicate. Gradually, I discovered that Ethan was a very responsible man. My daughter has a dance recital tonight, so I have to leave early, he said apologetically during one late-night session. I'm really sorry, I'll make up for this part of the work tomorrow. It's all right, your child's activities are important, I said, understanding perfectly. Go on, don't keep her waiting. Thank you for understanding, he said, looking at me gratefully. I'll treat you to dinner another time. You're welcome. Watching his hurried departure, a warmth spread through my heart. A father who would drop work for his child's performance must have good character. After the project concluded, Ethan asked me out to dinner. Ms. Chen, your contribution to the success of this project was invaluable, he said in the restaurant, raising his glass. Thank you for your professionalism and cooperation. You're too kind, Ethan, it was excellent cooperation from both sides, I said, raising my glass as well. Cheers to a successful partnership. As we chatted, the conversation naturally drifted to our personal lives. Ms. Chen, are you married? He asked cautiously. Divorced, I answered frankly. And you? Me too, he said with a wry smile. My daughter lives with me. It must be tough raising a child alone? It's manageable, my mother helps out, his expression dimmed slightly. I just feel I owe my daughter, not being able to give her a complete family. Hearing that, I was even more convinced he was a good father. What children need is their parents' love, not just the appearance of a complete family, I reassured him. As long as you put your heart into it, she'll feel it. Thank you, he said, his gaze on me changing slightly. You're a very good person. That night, we talked for a long time. And work to life, from past to future, we discussed everything. I discovered Ethan was a very profound man, completely different from Leo. He didn't try to flatter me, but he listened attentively. He didn't make grand, empty promises, but he showed his concern through his actions. Ms. Chen, if you don't mind, could we be friends? He asked earnestly as we parted ways. Of course. My name is Mary. Then you can call me Ethan, he said, smiling happily. From then on, we stayed in regular contact. Sometimes it was about work, other times just casual conversation. I found myself starting to anticipate his calls and text messages, a feeling that made me both happy and a little scared. After all, I had just come out of a failed marriage, and I wasn't sure if I was ready to start a new relationship, but was very patient. He didn't rush to confess his feelings or do anything pushy. He simply cared for me quietly. Mary, it's getting colder today. Remember to dress warmly. A new coffee shop just opened downstairs at Sterling Agency. I'll treat you to it next time. My daughter drew a picture. She said it was for a beautiful aunt, and I think she meant you. These simple words slowly warmed my heart. One weekend a month later, Ethan brought his daughter to visit me. Hello, Aunt. The little girl greeted me politely, then handed me a drawing. This is one I drew for you. The drawing showed a woman in a red dress, with the beautiful written next to her. Thank you, it's really beautiful, I said, stroking her head, my heart melting. Aunt, you're really pretty, the little girl said innocently. Dad says you're the best woman he's ever met. Hearing that, Ethan's face instantly turned red. Elizabeth, why do you tell everything? But that's what Dad said, the little girl protested, a little pouty. Watching the father and daughter, I couldn't help but laugh. This heartwarming feeling reminded me of the happy times I shared with my parents as a child. In that moment, I suddenly understood what true happiness was. It wasn't about deliberately staged romance, but this simple, genuine warmth. Ethan, I said, looking at him. I think I'm ready. He paused, then understood what I meant, a look of surprise and joy flashing in his eyes. Mary, will you give us a chance? He asked excitedly. Yes, I nodded. But we need to take things slowly. I need time. Of course, I'll wait for you, he said earnestly. No matter how long it takes. From that day on, we officially became a couple. Although our progress was slow, every step felt solid. This feeling was wonderful and filled me with hope for the future. After half a year with Ethan, our relationship grew increasingly stable. He truly was as patient as he said he would be, never forcing me to do anything I wasn't comfortable with. What touched me even more was that his daughter, Elizabeth, also really liked me. Every time we met, the little girl would run over to hug me and call me Aunt. Aunt, when are you going to move in with us? Elizabeth asked innocently one time. Elizabeth, you shouldn't ask Aunt that, Ethan said, a bit embarrassed. It's all right, I said, smiling and stroking Elizabeth's head. When Mary is ready, I'll consider it. Really? That's great. Elizabeth cheered, jumping up and down. Looking at her innocent smile, my heart softened even more. This little girl had already claimed a very important place in my heart. Professionally, I was also becoming more successful. At the end of the year, Mr. Vance truly did give me a surprise, a promotion, a raise, and a bonus of company stock options. Mary, your performance this year has been outstanding, Mr. Vance announced at the annual company meeting. Not only did you meet all project targets, but you also brought significant revenue to Sterling Agency. This reward is well-deserved. Enthusiastic applause erupted from the audience. Standing on stage, I was overwhelmed with emotion. A year ago, I was a miserable woman, raped by my husband and nearly left with nothing. Now, I not only had a stable career but had also found someone who truly loved me. All these changes were thanks to my past self, for not giving up. That evening, Ethan celebrated my promotion with me. Mary, I'm so proud of you, he said, raising his glass, his eyes full of love. You're the strongest woman I've ever met. Thank you for always supporting me, I said, looking at him gratefully. Without you, I might not be where I am today. No, it's the result of your own hard work, he said earnestly. I just stood by your side. This was what attracted me most to Ethan. He never tried to overshadow me. He genuinely rejoiced in my success. Ethan, I said, gathering my courage. I love you. It was the first time I had initiated saying those 3 words. Ever since the incident with Leo, I had been afraid to say love easily. Ethan paused, then stood up excitedly and walked over to hug me. I love you too, Mary, he whispered in my ear. I fell in love with you the first time we met. Just then, my phone suddenly rang. Seeing the number, I froze. It was the prison calling. Hello? I answered. May I speak with Ms. Mary? Yes, this is she. I'm a correctional officer at state. Leo has requested to see you. Would you be willing? Leo wanted to see me? Ethan and I exchanged a glance, and I saw the worry in his eyes. Did he say why? I asked. He said he has something important to tell you, regarding your safety. My heart tightened, and I replied. I understand. I'll be there tomorrow. After hanging up the phone, Ethan held my hand. Mary, you don't have to see him. What someone like that says isn't trustworthy. But he mentioned a safety concern, and I'm worried. I hesitated. Then I'll go with you, Ethan said resolutely. No matter what he's planning, I'll protect you. Looking at his worried yet determined expression, a wave of warmth spread through me. Okay, let's go together. The next day, Ethan and I went to the state. In the visiting room, I saw Leo, whom I hadn't seen in a long time. More than half a year of prison life had left him looking much gaunter. His once fair complexion was now sallow, and his hair had significantly grayed. When he saw me, a complex emotion flickered in his eyes. Mary, you're here. His voice was hoarse. What do you want? I asked coolly, without a hint of emotion. I heard you're doing well now, got a promotion, and have a new boyfriend. He glanced at Ethan, who was sitting beside me. I'm happy for you. You don't need to worry about any of that. Get to the point. What safety concern? Leo was silent for a moment, then said, Mary is getting out of prison soon. She's been saying in prison that she wants revenge on you. Revenge? I scoffed. Does she even have the nerve to talk about revenge? You don't know her. Leo's expression grew serious. She met some bad people in prison, and she might try to harm you once she's out. I'm worried about your safety. Hearing this, Ethan immediately tensed. She wouldn't dare. I won't let her hurt Mary. I've already reported it to the correctional officer, but it will be hard to control her once she's released. Leo looked at me, with a sincerity I'd never seen from him. Mary, I know I wronged you, but I don't want to see you get hurt. I stared at him for a long time, trying to discern from his expression whether he was telling the truth. Ultimately, I believed him. Because from what I knew of Leo, even though he was selfish and despicable, he wouldn't go so far as to wish harm upon me. I understand. I stood up. Thank you for the warning. Mary. Just as I was about to leave, Leo suddenly called out to me. I'm sorry, truly sorry. If there's a next life, I'll cherish you properly. I looked back at him, feeling no emotion whatsoever. There are no ifs and no next life. You've made your bed, now lie in it. With that, I walked out of the visiting room without looking back. AF. After leaving the state, Ethan held my hand tightly. Mary, from today on, I'll always protect your safety, he said seriously. I won't let anyone hurt you. I'm not afraid of her, I said calmly. Worst case, I'll call the police. The law will protect me. But I knew deep down that sometimes the law can't fully guarantee someone's safety. It seemed this storm wasn't over yet. News of Mary's release spread quickly. She was released 6 months early for good behavior in prison. I enhanced security measures, installing surveillance cameras at home and at Sterling Agency, and even hired a personal bodyguard. Ethan, moreover, stayed by my side constantly. Mary, what if we leave town for a while to avoid trouble? Ethan said worriedly. We can come back once things calm down. No, I shook my head firmly. I won't let a criminal change my life. Besides, I haven't done anything wrong, so why should I run? And it's not like before, I reassured him. I have the means to protect myself now. A week passed, and Mary didn't appear. I thought perhaps Leo's worries were unfounded, that she probably wouldn't dare to cause me trouble. But I was wrong. That night, I worked late and didn't get home until well after dark. At the entrance to my apartment complex, I saw a familiar figure, Mary. She stood under a streetlight, looking much thinner than before, her face drawn. When she saw my car, she immediately walked towards it. Mary! She blocked my car. I need to talk to you. I didn't get out of the car. Instead, I rolled down the window and looked at her. Mary, what do you want? I want to apologize to you. Tears welled up in her eyes. What happened back then was my fault. I wronged you. An apology? I scoffed. What good is an apology now? I know I did a lot of wrong things, but I truly regret it. Mary approached the car window. During my time in prison, I thought a lot, and I realized how foolish I was. So? You want me to forgive you? I don't expect your forgiving. I just want to tell you that I won't bother you anymore. She wiped away her tears. I'm going to leave this city and start fresh. I carefully observed her expression, trying to determine if she was being sincere. Then why didn't you just leave? Why did you come to find me? I challenged her. Because I owe you an apology. Mary's voice was choked. Also, I want to tell you some things about Leo. What about him? When he first approached me back then, I was actually a victim too, Mary said. He told me that your marriage was a marriage in name only and that you had agreed to divorce, just needed to go through the formalities. And you believed that? I said sarcastically. I was young and naive then, and he tricked me. Mary gave a bitter laugh. It wasn't until much later that I realized he had never told you about our relationship. And then what? Why didn't you leave him after you knew the truth? Because I had already fallen in love with him. Mary lowered her head. And by then, I had no way out. I could only go along with his plan. Hearing these words, I felt a complicated mix of emotions. While had certainly done wrong, in some ways, she was also a victim of Leo. Mary, I know nothing I say can make up for the harm I caused you, Mary continued. But I want you to know that Leo never loved me, he was just using me. In prison, he told others that we were both just pawns in his game. I already knew all of this, I said calmly. Is there anything else? No, Mary shook her head. I'm leaving this city tomorrow and will never appear before you again. Watching her desolate figure walk away, I suddenly felt a pang of pity for her. But pity aside, I wouldn't forgive her for what she had done. Mary, I called out to her. Although I won't forgive you, I hope you truly can start fresh and become an upright person. She looked back at me, her eyes filled with gratitude. Thank you, Mary. I will. Watching her figure disappear into the darkness, I let out a long sigh. This farce was finally truly over. Back home, Ethan was anxiously waiting for me. Mary, why are you home so late? I was so worried. He hugged me tightly. Mary didn't come to find you, did she? She did, but it's resolved. I told him what had just happened. You just let her go? Ethan seemed uneasy. What if she was putting on an act? No, I shook my head. I could tell she genuinely regretted it. And in her current state, she's in no position to harm me again. That's good, Ethan sighed in relief. I hope it's truly over this time. A month later, I confirmed through Miller that Mary had indeed left the city. She moved to a quiet town in the Midwest, found an ordinary job, and was living a low-key life. Leo also became much more compliant in prison and never tried to send any messages again. With that, this unpleasant chapter of the past could finally be turned for good. And I could confidently embrace my new life. 2 years later, Ethan and I got married. It was a simple yet heartwarming ceremony, with only our closest family and friends invited. Mom, you're so beautiful. Elizabeth, wearing her party dress, excitedly twirled around me. I want to be a bride someday too. Elizabeth's such a sweetie. I picked her up and kissed her cheek. From now on, we're a real family. That's great. Elizabeth clapped her hands happily. I finally have a mom. Hearing that, my eyes welled up. Going from a betrayed wife to a mother of a child, this transformation filled me with deep emotion. Mary, I love you. Ethan walked over, looking at me tenderly. Thank you for being willing to form a family with us. I love you too, I smiled happily. Thank you for giving me a complete family. At the wedding, my parents were very happy. Mary, this time you made the right choice, Margaret said, holding my hand. Ethan is a good man, you should cherish him. I know, Mom, I said with a smile. Looking at everything before me, my heart was filled with gratitude. If I hadn't bravely confronted Leo's betrayal back then, I wouldn't have this happiness today. Sometimes, life's lowest points are precisely the beginning of a turning point. Married life was simple but very happy. I continued working at Sterling Agency, Ethan had his own career, and Elizabeth was doing well in school. We would travel together, watch movies together, and celebrate or worry about Elizabeth's exam results together. These ordinary little things made up our happy daily life. One day, Elizabeth suddenly asked me, Mom, why were you sad before? When was that? I asked, a little confused. When I first met you, Dad said you had been hurt before, so we needed to be extra nice to you, Elizabeth said seriously. Who hurt you? I glanced at Ethan, who was busy in the kitchen, and a wave of warmth washed over me. He truly was a thoughtful man, even considering such details in his parenting. Mom did go through some difficult things before, I said, stroking Elizabeth's head. But all of that is in the past. Mom is very happy now. That's good, Elizabeth nodded. If anyone ever bullies you again, I'll protect you. Okay, Elizabeth will protect Mom, I said, smiling. That evening, after Elizabeth had fallen asleep, Ethan and I sat on the balcony chatting. Ethan, thank you for what you told Elizabeth, I said, leaning on his shoulder. You've taught her to be considerate of others from a young age. It's only right, Ethan said, gently stroking my hair. Elizabeth is very smart, She needs to know that the world isn't always perfect, but we can face all difficulties with love. Our child is lucky to have a father like you. And a mother like you." Ethan kissed my forehead. "Mary, meeting you is the greatest fortune of my life." "Mine too," I replied. That night, we talked about many things, the past, the present, and the future. We planned to have another child, to move into a bigger house, and to travel the world once Elizabeth grew up. These wonderful plans filled me with anticipation for the future. A year later, I became pregnant. Elizabeth was so excited when she heard the news that she jumped for joy. "I'm going to have a little brother or sister," she said happily. "I'm going to be the best big sister." "Elizabeth, that's wonderful," I said, hugging her, my heart full of love. Then later, on the day the baby was born, Ethan held my hand tightly, tears in his eyes. "Mary, you've been through so much," he choked out. "Thank you for bringing new life into our family." Looking at the baby in swaddling clothes, I felt like the happiest woman in the world. From a betrayed wife to now a mother of two, this transformation made me deeply feel the magic of life. Sometimes I wonder, if Leo hadn't betrayed me back then, what would my life be like now? Perhaps I would still be maintaining that false marriage. Perhaps I would never have met Ethan and Elizabeth, and certainly wouldn't have this adorable new baby. Thinking back, Leo's betrayal, ironically, became a major turning point in my life. Although it brought me profound pain, it ultimately led me to true happiness. Isn't life full of such drama? Sometimes, the biggest disasters can lead to the most unexpected happy endings. And in this moment, this ordinary yet genuine happiness is the most cherished treasure of my life. Thank you for watching today's story. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a like and share it with your friends. We look forward to hearing your thoughts in the comments. Feel free to share your perspectives, and don't forget to subscribe to our channel for more exciting stories. See you next time.